Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jake Nymark, and joining me tonight is my co-host, Christian Mitchell. Welcome to this special report on the Cuban Revolution and the constitutional clash with Fidel Castro's regime.
Thank you, Jake. It's a critical topic, especially considering the historical tension between the United States and Cuba. Tonight, we dive into the complexities surrounding constitutional principles and actions taken by Fidel Castro.
And now, for our first segment of the evening, we're going to talk about the suppression of the freedom of speech. Let's start by examining the freedom of speech, a bedrock of any democratic society. In the United States, the First Amendment guarantees this right, and it allows for an open dialogue. Now, unfortunately, in Castro's Cuba, it's a different story.
Absolutely, Jake. I agree. Dissent is met with suppression. Political opposition faces censorship, and media outlets are tightly controlled. This raises concerns about the stark contrast between the constitutional values upheld in the U.S. and limitations faced by individuals in Cuba.
Thank you, Christian. Now for our second segment of the evening, we're going to talk about lack of due process. Moving on to due process, a cornerstone of justice in the United States, the 5th and 14th Amendments ensure a fair trial and protect individuals from arbitrary actions. Now, Christian, how does this compare to Cuba?
Well, Jake, unfortunately, due process is often compromised in Castro's Cuba. Political opponents find themselves in unfair trials, and in some cases, there's imprisonment or execution without proper legal procedures. It's clear deviation from the principles we hold dear.
I completely agree. Thank you for that, Christian. And now for our third segment of the evening, we're going to talk about the violations of the 4th Amendment. Now let's explore the right to be secure against unreasonable searches and seizures. Protected by our 4th Amendment, Christian, how do the actions in Cuba align with the constitutional principle?
Well, Jake, in Cuba, we see instances of invasive surveillances and disregard for individual privacy rights, a direct contradiction to the 4th Amendment. The impact on personal liberties is significant and raises important questions about the balance between security and individual rights.
Thank you for that, Christian. Now, as we reflect on the Cuban Revolution and Fidel Castro's regime, it's evident that these constitutional clashes are not only historical, but have ongoing implications. Christian, what are your thoughts on the broader significance of tonight's discussion?
Well, Jake, it emphasizes the importance of upholding constitutional values, even when faced with geopolitical challenges. It raises questions about the role of diplomacy in promoting these values on international stage.
Thank you for that, Christian. I completely agree. Now we'll move on to a special live broadcast from Adrian Moore, live in Havana, Cuba.
Thank you very much, Jake. The lingering impact of the Fidel Castro regime continues to cast a shadow over the nation. Economic struggles persist, with citizens facing shortages of basic necessities. Critics argue that decades of centralized control have hindered progress and stifled individual freedoms, creating a challenging environment for the Cuban people. Many point to the authoritarian policies of the past as contributors to their current hardships, sparking concerns about the nation's ability to overcome its socioeconomic challenges. Thank you, and back to Jake and Christian.
Wow, very interesting.
I agree.
Thank you, Adrian, for that special live report from Cuba. We hope tonight's report sparks a thoughtful reflection on the principles that form the backbone of our democratic societies. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the constitutional clash surrounding the Cuban Revolution.
And thank you, Jake. As always, we encourage our viewers to engage in discussions about these critical topics and that shape our understanding of democracy and human rights.